Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Open Science Marathon, which I am very excited to be a part of. Thank you for your participation. I hope we will all learn and have fun in the next hour and a half. Let me start by introducing myself. I am Burcu from Istanbul Technical University. I am a librarian and also one of the coordinators of the ELISA Open Science community. It is my pleasure to host this event with two wonderful female scientists, Zehra and Güleda, who are also the co-founders of the Scholarly Communication Network. And special thanks to Franek from Adam Mickiewicz University for his valuable support, and sorry for the bad pronunciation. I want to quickly inform you about the flow and get to the panel as soon as possible. We will start with short introductions of ELISA Open Science Community and Scholarly Communication Network. And then Güleda Hoca will give a short talk on open science and related topics. Franek will continue with explanation on centers and peripheries in science, and then Zehra Hoca will start the interactive panel. All communication channels will be open to you throughout the interactive panel. This is why we name it interactive. You can use chat or raise your hand to comment. There will be also a Miro board for those who prefer written communication over verbal communication. You may not be familiar with the Miro board, but don't worry, Güleda Hoca will quickly inform you about the use of Miro board. A panel will be recorded and shared through YouTube after the event. And it's time to start introductions. I want to share my screen to give brief information on ELISA and ELISA Open Science Community. I will use slides, but be sure the number of slides is not too many. Here. Yes, coming. ELISA European University, the alliance that will transform engineering, education, and society. European Engineering, Learning, Innovation, and Science Alliance is the first alliance of higher education institutions from different countries in Europe, meant to define and implement a common model of European engineer rooted in society. I'm so sorry. Each word in its expansion has a different meaning and richness in itself. Europe refers to 7 countries in which the institutions that make up the alliance launch: Italy, Spain, Hungary, Romania, Germany, Turkey, France. Engineering refers to the renaissance of European engineering mindset. Learning refers to cross-institutional education. Innovation refers to innovation in and by education. Science refers to research and innovation ecosystem. And Alliance refers to network of higher education institutes across Europe. ELISA's acronym also pays a tribute to the women engineers through the memory of Elisa Leonida Zanfrescu, one of the very first women to obtain an engineering degree in the world. She also embodied the core elements of ELISA Alliance. She had a multicultural and cross-border background, contributed to engineering with innovative methods for the analysis of minerals, and had a determined social commitment. Thus, it's just another fancy word for networks, ELISA communities. It would be unfair to say that, because ELISA already has a strong network in existence, as it can be seen by numbers. ELISA community members share a common interest and offer or participate in learning, research, innovation, and third mission activities in the European Engineering, Learning, Innovation, and Science Alliance. By doing so, ELISA communities contribute to a common mission that is based on solving diverse challenges. ELISA communities are open places that embrace the inclusion of different stakeholders, academics, students, staff members, and external university ecosystem players from ELISA universities. And it is open science community's turn. We are one of the newest communities to join ELISA. And here is our lovely logo. We aim to empower research, education, and innovation through open science practices to increase efficiency and productivity, to bring together and work with all beneficiaries, stakeholders, and experts to ensure society gets the most out of science through the policies, strategies, and tools developed by ELISA to be part of the open science ecosystem. To promote the systematic development of open science ecosystem across disciplines and ELISA members, to advocate and raise awareness of open science, to support open collaboration with potential multi-participant projects, and last but not least, to be a part of initiatives related to open science elements and to ensure that knowledgeable and talented representatives of ELISA are involved in these initiatives. For now, that's all that I want to share with you. If you would like to get much more information about ELISA communities and especially about open science community, you can visit our communities platform. I will also share the link of the open science communities promotional video for those who are interested. Yes, Zehra Hocam, floor is yours for introduction to Scholarly Communication Network.
Thank you, Burcu, for inviting us to this seminar, for organizing this seminar, and for introducing ELISA project. If you ask me why we found this network, I can easily say that we want to support early career researchers in science, because we all know that in science, big men in the academia always said that you should find a good network, you should create your own networks, you have a name, you have to have a prestige in your field and so on. But in the current system of the academia, young researchers have very big issues in science, like having access to research funds, having access to good research groups, and knowing them, how to work with them. And there are some different kind of problems in the academia, like predatory journals, hijacked journals, and so on. So our aim is to provide a network for young researchers, for early career researchers, to raise their voices, to present their studies in different fields on scholarly communication. To make them meet with important people in their fields and important research groups. We want to create a network and that big man in the academia wants from researchers, young researchers, but our aim is not just pretending like founding a network. We want to make them visible in science. So this is our aim. This is the initial aim of our network, and we are very happy to create this network, to get support from many institutions from Europe and United States. That's very great for us. Thank you for today's interactive panel, because this is the first time we are trying interactive panel settings. I hope we can make the great interaction with seminar attendees. And this is the definition of our group, the network. And now it's turn to definition of our interactive panel. Gleda, the floor is yours. Let's start.
Hi everyone, welcome again. I am first of all very sorry for my voice. It is a little hoarse. By the way, what a nice dream, voice and horse. More interactive part of our event is about to start. First of all, could you please write your positions, your job, or your situation right now? If you are a early career researcher, you can write ECR on chat box. If you are a librarian, you can write librarian to the chat box. We are curious about your situation, your position, where you are working and what you are doing. So if you write this on the chat box, we can continue taking these into consideration. So when I am talking, you can going on writing your positions, situations, or your jobs on chat box. Today, as you know, and as Burcu and Zehra said, this will be an interactive panel. So we will use an interactive tool called Miro. I will share my screen with you, and we want you to contribute Miro. This is the Miro board we have prepared for you. What will we do here, or how will you see and contribute to this Miro board? I have shared I think Zehra shared the link with you, but I can share it again here. This is the link for Miro board. If you don't have a Miro board and haven't used it before, you can follow this link and sign up Miro board. It will be easier sign up to Miro board via your Gmail account. I saw somebody already signed up and writing something down. If this is not possible for you right now to sign up Miro board, you can either write on chat box, or you can use your microphones to talk about our questions or our discussion topics. And if you are ready, we want to start off quickly with a question. The answers are very important for us. The question is also on the screen. What is the first thing or things maybe that comes to your mind when you think of open science? If you write down what you think while I am talking, that will help us to continue or to going on. When you are writing, while you are writing, I want to talk about open science a bit. The shortest and I think the best explanation of open science is open science is science. There is nothing different from science. We can say that it is the ideal and the most original shape of science, but it's changed by time. We often confuse the terms open science and open access. They are related, but they are certainly nothing the same things. Open access is the starting point for all of these, and it means making all scholarly output accessible for everyone without paying any fees. On the other side, open access is just a part of open science is a bigger, a larger term by the meaning. Open science means making all the processes at all stages of science open. So it is not only sharing your articles, author copy with public. It also contains sharing your data and using open licenses when sharing your scholarly output or your data. Or, for example, making all of your peer review reports openly accessible to everyone. Or prefer journals that use peer review, open peer review methods. This is all open science, and there are lots of things. For example, we haven't mentioned here and in the open science. But I said that it is the ideal and it is the most original way of science. But that is not all easy. I saw a tweet last night. It says, yes, we have more open access, but it has only shifted inequalities from readers to authors and hasn't improved the situation for libraries either. Unethical, unsustainable, transformative agreements will continue to feed exorbitant profit margins. I really agree with this tweet, and I wanted to share it with you also. Now, I am sure Franek has a lot of things to say about the inequalities created by mainly open science or many other things, many other causes. When Franek talking about the inequalities in science, you can write down what you know about the other parts of open science, for example, open access, open data, or what you do using open data or using open softwares. And then we will pass to other parts, mostly what will Franek say. When Franek talking about the inequalities, you can also write down which challenges you face as a librarian, as an ECR, early career researcher, as an academic, what challenges you face in science because of open science or not. You can also write down those. We will use these, our most interactive part after Franek completed his speech. Thank you, Franek. It is your turn now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Guleda. I'm like really happy to be here today. And yeah, in this short introduction, like, because I'm a PhD student in Scholar Communication Research Group in Adam Mickiewicz in Poznań, and I'm writing my PhD about like centers and peripheries of knowledge production and how the idea of resistance can be used to analyze them. And when I was like thinking about like how to connect and to best like introduce like problems of geopolitical inequalities in science in context of open access and in context of like open science, which is, as you said, like much more wider concept than open access. I thought about this like observation of Peter Suber that he made in his like famous book on open access, that actually like any university right now is not able to subscribe to every scholarly journal it would need to have access to. And I think this is like a very important background for understanding in what environment open access is implemented and it is pursued. It is that this big inequality between scholarly community and commercial publishers who have so high prices of subscriptions to their journals. And this is also this is very strongly support also not only disadvantage of scholarly community at all, but like also create inequalities within this community. So like we can observe that like more rich, more central university will have like much more access to a lot of literature than poorer, more peripheral universities. And when we think about this like geopolitical inequalities in science and centers and peripheries, then usually like centers and peripheries, although it's like controversial term and there is like a lot of discussion how to use it, but like the most common way of using is describing some kind of strongly one-sided influence from the knowledge produced in the center over the knowledge produced in the periphery. So, for example, like in some peripheral countries, it is like much more common to cite some famous researchers from the US than for US is to get to know some researchers from country like Poland or Turkey. And causes of that are usually could be divided for some like more cultural epistemic causes. So, for example, perceiving peripheries as like just passive receivers of knowledge, or the legitimization, some ways of produce knowledge that are specific for some other countries, or some reviewers or editor biases during like publishing process. But also we can point out a lot of economic inequalities. Just as I said, in the beginning, there is like this problem with like cost of subscription. Right now, there is a problem with cost of APC charges in journals. There is also further problems with then implementing research results to a wider economics of a given country. So when we have like some innovation, then we need whole industry like environment to implement this innovation, and we have like a lot of other problems like political instability in some countries that also is a big issue when we want to develop the scientific community. And what open access for me is in that context, it was especially in open science. It started, I think, as some of resistance to this unequal state of things. When I read like the Berlin Declaration for Open Access, the openness of access is for me like defined in a very universalistic terms. So like they write that the authors and right holders of such open access contributions grant to all users a free, irrevocable worldwide access. So like there is this idea that it should not only be open, for example, to all like taxpayers of my country or etc., but it should be like worldwide open access. So it is like challenging one of the sources of this geopolitical inequality. And when I think it is to some extent already like ideas of open access, and open access really transformed like scholarly communication. And when I read like books on geopolitical inequalities from like that are like 20 years old, like Suresh Carnahal, Geopolitics of Academic Writing, there is like there are a lot of issues like inaccessibility of some like central literature that are actually like no longer with us, or either by like conventional open access or less conventional open access, like Sci-Hub, for example, which as studies was saying in 2017 make available around of 85% of article accessible to a like worldwide community of scholars. Like I think it already transformed like scholarly communication a lot, also in this like geopolitical terms. But on the other hand, like we have a lot of still challenges. And when we, for example, observe how publishers react, big commercial publishers react to these changes of open access, we can also observe some movement of like hijacking this movement of like resisting this unequal state of academia. And for example, charging so high publishing fees that actually like the inequality between centers and periphery is still sustained, and it's still very much supported when only people from like very rich institutions can afford to publish in some journals, because publishing fees are so high. The the other problems that people describe is also that not like the worldwide aspect of the access is still not so much worldwide, because like the problem of language accessibility and the problem of sometimes even internet accessibility is not still so worldwide as we could thought. And the other important thing when we are thinking about like alternative to these big commercial publishers, there is like still a lot of complicated, like some kind of like prestige economy, that it is not so easy to create some new journals in like fully open access without high publishing charges, and to attract a lot of scholars to publishing in them, because we have all this prestige measured by some metrics like impact factor, etc. And like creating like real radical changes in this environment is pretty hard. And I think like examples, for example, of predatory publishing and whole discussion around it, it is also example that transforming like scholarly communication by introducing open access is challenging. And I think there is like a lot of things to discuss more about it, and I will be like happy to answer and pose more questions during the panel.
Thank you, Franek, for your talk, for your basic definition. I think it's not basic, it's very complete, and a set of differences between centers and peripheries, and disadvantages and the advantages of science. I just want you to I just want to show you show our participants to print screens in the same board, Miro board. On the left-hand side, there is an article published in Nature entitled "Open Access Publishing Fees Deter Researchers in the Global South," and it is published in Nature. And the Nature's publication fee is like 10,000 euros, and I think it's kind of hypocrisy or something, because we want to discuss this kind of behaviors in science. We want to, today, our aim is to discuss who can afford this kind of fee in their academic life. For example, I cannot, because I'm working in Turkey, and I don't have enough funds to pay this fee, or I don't have enough awareness, funding agencies to pay this kind of money. And I don't believe that we should pay this money as a peripheral country, because we can use this money to more valuable research, to enhance, to enrich research in our country or in our fields. What do you think about this, Güleda or Franek? Do you want to add something? There is a hand. There is a hand from Burcu. Burcu, please, go on.
I think that we should focus on real open access instruments, like platforms offered by European Commission, open research. Let me remember the name. European research. Oh, I should focus on much. No. I mean, you know, now European Commission is offering an open access publishing platform for all funded project members. You know, they said that you don't need to publish your publications, articles, book chapters, etc., and data on any other commercial platform, but we are offering you a new platform that you can easily publish your outcomes. No. Open research. I couldn't remember. I'm going to
Okay.
Google it. Okay, I'm going to Google it. But what I mean is that it is important to focus positive things and developments related with open science area, you know. We should open our eyes and open our minds and try to catch best practices on open science, like open access publishing platform. I mean, I'm going to send the link of that platform.
Okay, you are right, but we should talk about all the initiatives, all best practices can be converted to the benefit for publishers. For example, eLife Journal announced a new publishing method for their papers. It's like there is no rejection or exception letters. Everyone's paper will publish, but all the reviewer letters will be open, and it will raise eLife's revenue double in the next year, because it can cause many APCs, and there will be no limitation for publications, and we will face with a big data publication mass in the academia. I think we should find solutions for real open access things. For example, diamond open access. No one is talking about diamond open access because there is no benefit for publishers with diamond open access. But I think we should talk about diamond open access. I want to ask to our participants, have you ever heard diamond open access? Can you write down if you heard it? Yes or no? Are you there? Please. Hello, hello.
You can write on chat box. Have you ever heard diamond open access or not?
No. Okay. Let's create awareness about diamond open access then.
That's great.
Yeah, diamond open access is supporting scientifically driven publications like university presses or association presses, and the journals that don't want APCs or anything else from its readers or from its authors. This is kind of, there are many journals in the academia, and we should support their quality, support their capacities, support their sustainabilities, and so on. In the Europe, there is an action plan for supporting diamond open access journals, and we, as in Turkey, there is a support from TÜBİTAK Akbim. It is the main funding agency of Turkey, and there are many different small institutions, or not small. There are many institutions supporting this diamond open access action plan, and I think the solution is not to make rich more richer. Our aim should be supporting more real open behaviors, real open movements in our field. I think this is my opinion, because all the initiatives turn out to be a game in the academia, and this game always win by publishers. I think, not early career researchers, not professors, not academia. The only winner of this game is publishers, and I think we should make something for it. What do you think, Pranek, about this?
Yeah, thanks, Ishwar. Yeah, I totally agree. Like about this example of like fees of 9,000. Like what I'm like personally like think about it. Like I think it is like outrageous, and I think it shouldn't even be legal. Like there are like studies that are showing that these prices of like APCs are just are just like going higher when the impact factor of a journal is going higher. So it did not reflect like any real like work that the editors of the journals are doing. It just reflects like the prestige of the journal, that they are like aware that they can just charge higher prices because the researchers still are going to publish in this journal. And like from comments from like the fields I'm more interested in is like when Anne was analyzing like discussion about predatory journals. Like really like important point was made by Kyle Seiler. I think I can link his article in the chat.
Okay, when Franek connect again, until he connect again, we can read the great texts in the interactive board.
And we may classify them. All together, we may classify them. For example, transparency is, what can we put transparency below in this board? For example, how we know on this board, how we know about open data, open license, or open software, or how we use them.
Okay, let's do it first. Yeah. Science must be accessible for everyone who wants to use information about her field. I think this is a general
Yes,
for.
yes.
Let's. Franek, do you want to finish your opinion about this?
Yeah. Sorry. I was disconnected for a while, but I just wanted to add that in the context of like predatory publishing, there was like a really good argument made that we are like only talking about some illegitimate like peer review or like spamming emails, etc. But when we are talking about like quality of the journals, etc., we often like in this discussion like missing like, for example, the issue with prices. And I think like the both things are important, and like substandard journals that do not like have a good review are definitely a problem for spread communication. But on the other hand, like journals which charge like 8,000-9,000 like euro APC are also a problem. And we are assessing which journals are good and bad, we should definitely took both things into the consideration. And a lot of this like journals that are like criticized of being predatory, they are sometimes like, there were studies that were showing that they are sometimes charging only like 100 euros. So this is like nothing in comparison to this like prestigious journals of famous publishers.
Yeah, and also we should discuss some difficulties of early career researchers in the current system, because all the systems, research evaluation systems, based on outputs, research outputs, and if you want to make your work published in big journals, you should have a name in your field. And if you don't have access to funds, if you don't have a good network in your field, you don't have a chance to publish in a good high impact journal. This seminars, this panel's main idea is presenting the difficulties of early career researchers and how can we define early career researchers. They are after their PhD, 2 or 7 years after PhD. It's kind of this definition. So they don't have enough funds, they don't have enough networks, they don't have visibility in their fields, and without them, they don't have chance to be published in good journals. I think we should talk about this. All the scientific communities want them publish papers in good journals, but good journals, the accepted journals, legitimate journals are not does not accept papers from young researchers. And how can we enhance the main problems? What do you think, Güleda or Franek? Do you want to provide a solution for it? Suggest a solution for it? Do you have any idea?
Zehra Can, we are enjoying so much with Miro board. So
I was working on the classification, and I saw that most of the things we wrote down about open access is about open. Most of the things we wrote about open science was about open access. But there are many different ideas. For example, I added one of them to open advocacy. Working for raising awareness on open science is something that we call open advocacy. And here, the thing we are working for doing, or we are struggling for doing, is also open advocacy. The things we do in open access weeks is also, we can say that it's open advocacy. And we have nothing to write down about open licenses, citizen science, open software, and open peer review. Could you please write what you know or what you do about citizen science or open licenses? What is open licenses means for you, or open softwares means for you? For example, when I thought about open software, the first thing that comes in my mind is GitHub. Do you use GitHub, or have you ever heard about GitHub? Yes, open journal systems that we use in universities, for university journals mainly, is also an open software for journal management systems. Open code, yes, we share via GitHub or other platforms, is also open software. Open educational resources. We had a meeting on Monday, and we have a new product, have a new open courseware for Turkey, mainly related with, we have courses inside that is mainly related with open science issues. Yes, Moodle is an open educational resources also. I think we can share the TÜBİTAK Kulakbilim's open courseware also. I have the link. This is in Turkish. I will share the link with you. You may know or not, TÜBİTAK Kulakbilim have a new open courseware that includes mostly open courses on open science and related issues. I've shared the link with you, and I'm looking back to board. Yes, there's a good definition about citizen science. It means engaging people from outside the academia into your research. For example, you are collecting data, for example, on birds. You want people from public collect data for you. This is also citizen science. And when you share your results, your scientific results, in a more understandable way. It's also citizen science. I think what Sarkaç do in Turkey is also citizen science, because they are working on making scientific output, making science more understandable for the public. So it's also citizen science. Is another definition for citizen science: public support to science. Now citizens becoming, yes, scientists. They collect data for your, they can collect data for your studies. Yes, we first mention Creative Commons when we mention open licenses. They are used very commonly because.
Yeah. Can I add something?
Yes, of course.
When we talk about open science, the only thing that comes to our minds is open access. We just want to know, can we access to scientific articles or not? But it's like research and research evaluation and evaluating research outputs. We all call the process of research evaluation as a research evaluation, but we just do output evaluation. But we should evaluate the whole process, from data, from licensing, from gathering the data, opening the data, managing the data, and opening codes to the others, all related parties, or opening all educational resources to anybody, all the acceptance and rejection decisions of the papers. So open science is not limited to open access. There are many different parts of it. You can see the main parts of it in the Miro board. They are open data, open licensing, citizen science, open peer review of educational sources, open software, and open advocacy. And we should care all of them, because all these things support open access, open science, not just open access. When we talk about open access, we always talk about publishers. But for the other parts, we have many different stakeholders, like funding agencies, like governmental organizations, higher education institutions, projects like ELISA, or networks like ours. There are many different stakeholders in the open science, and we should consider to collect them together, to make them work together, and make a good, powerful work on open science issues. I don't know what you think about it, but we should cover more open concepts when we talk about open science, not just open access. Güleda, you are muted.
By the way, is there anybody want to talk about these issues using the microphone? We're always talking, but if you want to talk and say anything about this issue, please.
May I?
I think, yeah, please, Burcu.
I will try to do my best. There is lots of things to say about each topic, each open science related issues as a librarian, but because of time limitations, I just would like to inform you about our latest meeting with our academicians, which we again discuss on open science practices, and especially focused on open data. And at the end of the panel, we recognize that the most important part is awareness. This is why we are just discussing on open access. Yes, everything is started with open access. Maybe it's not true. We can say open source resources, open coded materials are much more maybe before these open access publishing issues. But when we discuss on everything, we recognize that because of because we couldn't raise awareness on open science issues, open science elements, including definitions of these all elements, we have some confusions and some limited support for now, because if you don't know something well, you are starting to be afraid of the things that you don't know. This is something like that. These are all, we of course want to share open data, but we also want to know when we share this data, who will use data and with which aim. This is one of the topics that we discussed yesterday. And for open licensing, yes, everyone says that this is too good, but it's enough for everything, or it is okay for, it's acceptable for technical issues, but what can we say about social issues and social part of it? How can we make citizens to be part of science? Identifications, and how can I say, we use lots of nice words while we are trying to inform people about open science, but we couldn't find time to open the whole content to them. And it makes lots of questions marks on their mind. So I think why we are just focusing on open science today is because of these awareness issues. But also, I cannot say that I'm one of the best knower of everything, but I'm trying to understand what's going on. And the other issue is that in Turkey, we're trying to understand all these definitions, but Europe is moving on. You know, when we are discussing open access, they are discussing on open peer review. When we are discussing on gold and green open access, they started to discuss on diamond access. You know, it's very hard to follow up everything for each of us, and we need to start now. We don't have time to wait for, because I don't want to be the follower. We need to become the leading ones according to have the confidence and let people feel relaxed with all these open issues. But with lots of question marks on our minds, it's very difficult. I totally support diamond open access, but for example, in Turkey, if we start to push diamond open access and say, let's have our own publishing university presses and start to make our research outputs written in these presses, another issue is starting. How can I use this during my career?
Can I add a quick correction for it?
Yes,
we have a very big infrastructure for diamond open access journals. It is Dergi Park. Dergi Park is like Cielo in Latin America, is like America in Latin America. It covers almost thousands of Turkish journals in it, and it is supported by TÜBİTAK Kulakbim. And sorry, can I finish? And they are the very first signatures of Diamond Open Access. And the Diamond Open Access Action Plan said that you should support the quality of Diamond Open Access journals. And we all know that Turkish journals or Polish journals have lower quality in comparison of the indexed journals in Web of Science or Scopus. But we have to support their quality. We have to create some quality levels for these journals. We have to create sustainable environments for these journals. We have to add add some ballots in our research evaluation systems to give them value in the system. Because if you give enough numbers in your research evaluation system, and if you cover all these journals in your research evaluation system, it started to be a part of your scholarly communication cycle. And Diamond Open Access supports this. And I want to thank Franek for adding hope for more equal scholarly communication to what does open science mean to you, because we always want to talk open science and scholarly communication together, because scholarly communication is a very big process, and it has authors, reviewers, editors, journals, publishers in it, and we should create an equal environment for them. That's it. If you add something on your research evaluation systems about Diamond Open Access, you can support all these journals. But today we just value journals in Web of Science, and it creates something like that. I write an article on how to support Turkish public libraries in an international journals, in an international journal in English. And if they reject it, I publish it in Turkish journal as an English, but it never supports public libraries in Turkey, because it must be in Turkish. Its audience is Turkish librarians, because it's very local issue. We support local literatures. Science is not one thing, one single shape, and it must be diverse. It must cover all local, international, or interdisciplinary topics. This is my idea.
Thank you so much for your addition, but I think there is a misunderstanding because we are at the same side, you know. I just mentioned that I am very well informed about Dergi Park, and I shared the link that TÜBİTAK Ulakbin signed Diamond Open Access Action Plan, one of the first institutions. The thing I would like to focus or underline is that if we cannot express ourselves to academicians, not just academicians, but also decision makers, it makes everything too much difficult to handle. This is the issue. I'm of course supporting Diamond Open Access, and I'm following all kind of developments within Turkey and international levels. But the issue is that it is not enough. I know, you know, all librarians, nearly all librarians in Turkey following up everything related to open science issues. But this is not enough to raise the awareness. I'm so sorry for that, but this is our current situation. You are at a little bit higher level of information and discussion point with these all educational system and evaluation assessment systems. You are totally right. We should start from now on to discuss on everything with supporting awareness studies. That's all I mean. And Francek is waiting for floor.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, you had like great points, and I really agree with them. Like both, like yeah, I definitely think like that the raising awareness is important. And it's like also something that who are like studying this issue we can do, and especially when we are not like policymakers and we don't have like big funds, for example, fund some journals, etc. Like yeah, raising awareness is what we can do. But yeah, and then I definitely also like support Diamond open access, but also about what we're talking earlier, and about like that not to think more about like open science and not only open access. I was thinking that like important part is also like to raise question about the role of this big commercial publishers, because when we are thinking only about open access, we can say like, okay, like this Nature journals that have like 9,000 APCs, like it provides some kind of open access, but like it definitely do not provide like open science, or even like more widely understood open access, because like as Zefra said, like there is like really a lot of people who just cannot afford to publish in journals like that. And yeah, and then when we are thinking about like establishing some our own our own diamond access journal. One thing it is they do not have like such prestige as these nature journals, and like for example some evaluation committees, etc. Are could be not could value our publication in the diamond journals not so well. And the other thing, and it's like also interesting when reading about the silo in Latin America, it is that even if you could establish like very prestigious diamond open access journal, then you can still be afraid that at some point, and it happened like in the past, like the big commercial publisher will just like buy this journal from some scholarly society and will just introduce some fees. So I think like what is like also in raising this awareness really important is to really pose question of the role of the big commercial publishers, which I have like very different goals than academic community, because we just want like have like really open egalitarian science, and that they mostly just I think want a lot of profits from being academic publishers.
Yeah, and if you check the Diamond Open Access, the first report of Diamond Open Access, it indicates that if you publish almost 500 articles in a year, the cost of one article is like $60. It's just like $60. If you publish your paper in Nature and you pay almost 10,000 euros for it, only 65 euros is for just publication. For all the others are for the prestige of the journal. And because we define the value of the journal by using some numbers like impact factor, the name of the publisher, and the editors maybe, but we only care impact factors of the journals. But if you check the author networks that publish their papers in these journals, they are from central countries. They have affiliations from Oxford University or big universities. And if you send your article on the similar issues, they will not accept it. I have an anecdote for this thing. We submitted our paper on multilingualism to PNS journal, Proceedings of National. I don't remember the full name of the journal, but it is one of the biggest journals in the multidisciplinary journals. And it is about the importance of multilingualism. And they wrote us that science is for scientists, and all scientists can speak English. And we don't support your paper on multilingual issues like this. And they rejected this article. Then, in the same issue, they published a paper on global inequalities in citations. And they indicate their view on global inequalities, but they didn't accept our paper on multilingualism. And I think we should discuss more about how trust, how they believe their words on inequalities in science, or how they indicate that they support early career researchers. They support equalities in science. They care diversity, but they don't. We all have different stories in our academic lives because of our originality, our origins, because of our affiliations and so on. But why they pretend like they care these countries? Because we don't say them too much. We have to say all our stories, and we have to share, I think, our stories behind these experiences of publishing. This is my idea, because this is a kind of pretending like we support diversity, but publishers don't support diversity. I think this is my idea. I don't know whether you agree or not, but diversity is just a brand for some publishers, and we should go beyond this definition of diversity. We should create our own diverse scholarly publication cycle in academia, and publishers don't have to have right to talk too much on it. Yeah, because the contents is ours, and it must be ours. And this is just like some ideas from my brain. Yeah, that's it. Anyone?
And we have 20 minutes more, and we can use this 20 minutes for the challenges that caused by open science issues. For example, we talked about most of them. For example, high APC fees is a challenge for us because we cannot publish where we want. APC is something that is naturally paid by your institutions or your funders. But in Turkey, if we want to publish in a journal like Nature, and if we aren't funded by any institution, we have to pay that 10,000 euro by ourselves, which is impossible for all of us. So we can write down a bit about the challenges we live or we know about. Awareness, yes, this is a really important topic, but the awareness level in our country, in Turkey, is really low. We are at the open access point now, but as Burcu said, the world go further on open science issues, but we are always thinking about open access platforms, universities, open access repositories, universities, open access policies, but these are all completed issues for most of the countries. But we are going on open access, unfortunately, so we can't pass the open science issues very well. So there are lots of things written here. Impact factor based value definition. Impact factor is a value, is not a value, is something that statistically and mathematically wrong. The calculation method is something we teach in statistics lessons, and it's really wrong because it's calculated for a cute data, but it's an average of citations and publication counts. So this is really impact factor-based value definition is really harms academia in the world, and mainly in our country, in Turkey. I'm curious about one issue, Franny. I said that we cannot go further from open access to other open science related issues. What is the situation in Poland? You are still talking on open access, or you are talking something different from open access, like open data, open advocacy, citizen science? What is the situation in your country?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think like it is still very much focused on open access, especially now when the Plan S is introduced, and like there is like a lot of discussion like that we need to switch to publishing in open access when we publish something funded by national agents, like research funded by national agencies. Yeah, I think that there are some discussion about like publishing open data, etc. But it's still not frequent. And what is also like really interesting, and this is like also in the discussion about like diamond open access, etc. Like in Poland there is like a really huge number of Polish journals, and there is like some paradox, because on the one hand a lot of them are not really good journals, and it was like highly incentivized to have a lot of journals, because like evaluation system of a country was given you just some points for publishing something, and you needed like journals to publish these articles. But on the other hand, when you are talking about open science, just in the times of like openness, they are sometimes like they're usually pretty great. Like there is like not really like a thing to charge, for example, APC for publishing in some Polish journals. They are just fully open. They publish their article on their websites. You don't have to pay anything like to access or to publish in them. So like when on the one hand we I think should be critical to some like quality issues, and that maybe we have like even too many journals, etc. But on the other hand, like to some extent, maybe we were like more successful in like establishing like really open journals than some Western countries.
Thank
I
you very
think
much.
we have very limited time for
Yes, we have 15 minutes.
further discussions, but I think we can say our last words for the challenges or the perception of open access in Turkey or in the world. I think we are not so far from the Europe, because 2 years ago Europe was discussing the Plan S and its consequences, and now they are trying to solve the issues based on Plan S's inequalities in science. But I think we should trust more on our academics in working on, and academics and librarians working on open science, because on Monday we had a launch event for open courseware system, open courseware platform for open science issues, and now there are 300 users registered to it to understand what is how research data can be managed, or how open science conducted, or open citations, or text and data mining, and so on. There are 8 different courses on open science, and people want to know more on open science in Turkey too. We should support them with this kind of tools, and ELISA is doing it, and we try to do it. TÜBİTAK we want to do it, and we have willingness to create awareness on the country. I think we are not far from the European Union or the other countries in the world, but we should raise our voices for these issues, and we should stop supporting some benefits of commercial publishers. I think these are my last words for open access, open science challenges. And Güleda, what do you think? What you want to say? You are muted. Yes.
I think we need to study more to raise awareness on these issues. Here we are about 20 people, but I see that we have something to say, and we should continue to say to go further open access and contribute to open science more as academicians or as librarians. So awareness is the most important issue here, and we also do something like open courseware. We should share our own data, for example. So I think that's all I want to say today. Again, sorry for my voice. I tried to talk, but it was really bad, I know. Thank you for your attention and thank you for your contribution.
Pranik, what are your last words?
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, I think definitely like raising awareness is super important. As I said, like this is like definitely something as scholars we can do. I also like really enjoy that during like this panel, and I think like we should do it more. We can focus on some like also more positive initiatives that are around, like these platforms like to support Diamond open access, etc. Like I fully agree with you, Zehra, about challenges of like commercial publishers, high APCs, and some like wider geopolitical inequalities that are around. But when we are aware of these challenges, I think we should highlight, seek, and like discuss every like possibility of changing something, of like even small initiative that can help us to change little like this environment, which would say are still pretty hostile to the idea of having open science. So discussing, seeking, and inventing such alternative, I think is a great thing.
Thank you very much. And Burcu?
I would like to thank you all, especially three of you. You really did it so good. We tried to support it, and also I am offering you to make a written conclusion on this session after we find a free time for ourselves. I think it will be a good reflection of this communication. And I have been already added my last words to the chat box, but if you let me, I would like to read it. Yes, as you all mentioned, sometimes being a follower provides advantage. Countries and institutions that are pioneers in open science experience, we have the opportunity to choose the good practices. Yeah. But we should be well prepared. We need to create or prepare the legal and technical infrastructure to support open science practices. We are not too good, but we are not too bad also. We are doing good. We are doing what we need to do currently, but it is most important to get the high level ones, the decision makers. This is why it's too important to make people aware about open science issues. And I hope you have the same feelings with me, because I really feel very good at the moment, and hope to see you at the next open science-based events. That's all for now I would like to say to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Burcu. I'm very happy with the interactive panel. It is not much interactive, but for the first time, testing these interactive things, it's nice experience for us. I hope we can organize more interaction in the future from the participants, and let's see what's next for our network and ELISA's events. Thank you for the invitation, the collaboration, and this interactive panel, Burcu, and Pranik too.
Thank you so much. Wish to see you again and again.
Thank
you all, our dear participants.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution on my report.
We have very good Miro board now. We can distribute it to everywhere. Yeah.
Yes, also we can put it open and maybe people see, we can add the date and the name of the event. Maybe we can put the YouTube link also. And if people would like to add something on it, why not? I don't know. You are the owner of the Maya board. The decision is yours.
Güleda is the owner of the Maya board, so she can.
Sometimes making this kind of boards live as living documents will help people to feel relaxed and put things on it time to time. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can. Sure.
Okay, then. See you all.
See you. Bye bye.
See you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye bye.